The moment the priest asked if I took her to be my lawfully wedded wife, I looked into her eyes and smiled. But it wasn't love behind my gaze. It was a eulogy, and she had already been buried in my heart. She said, "I do," with that breathless joy I used to adore, the kind that once made me believe in things like forever. My silence, when it came, was deliberate, a pause sharp enough to cut through the air. It lingered, long enough to ripple across the pews. My mother shifted uncomfortably in her seat. The priest leaned in, gently prompting. My best man, Mark, tensed beside me. Then I spoke. "I can't," I said calmly, each syllable weighted, "because my fiancée slept with my father the night before this wedding." The gasp that tore through the chapel was immediate, visceral, a collective exhale of disbelief. Somewhere, a glass shattered. My father's expression collapsed from smugness to panic, then to something worse. Shame. Sophie's smile faltered mid-breath. Her joy disintegrated on impact. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was heavy with judgment, eyes wide and unblinking. But I wasn't finished. We were perfect once. Or maybe I was just too blind to see clearly. Sophie had been the kind of woman who could make a room stop spinning. Sharp-tongued, radiant, stubborn, dazzling in that effortless way that made people want to orbit her. We met in college. She spilled whiskey on my notes at a party, teased me for using a pen in a world gone digital. We argued like thunder for an hour. I asked her out the next day. 7 years we spent building a life, from tiny apartments and shared takeout boxes to a loft with view and weekend reservations at places with valet parking. I gave her everything, not because she asked, because I wanted her to feel safe, cherished, certain. My father? That's the twisted part. He was my benchmark, the man I tried to live up to, a wolf in a tailored suit, charming and ruthless in equal measure. He built his empire on calculated risks and other people's failures. He taught me strategy at 5 with chessboards and betrayal by 30 with a smile. He always told me, "Control the board, not the pieces." I should have listened closer. The morning after my bachelor party, I woke up foggy and hungover. Something felt off. Sophie was in the shower. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, unlocked. She never left it unlocked. Maybe guilt made her careless. It wasn't text that broke me. It was a photo, buried in a hidden album. Her body disheveled, lips swollen, time stamped 2:14 a.m. The location? My father's penthouse. Crystal clear, as if betrayal had wanted to be caught. There were messages, too. Long, graphic, intimate. She called him daddy in ways that made me feel like the punchline to a joke I hadn't even known was being told. I read them all. No tears. Just silence. The kind that comes before something breaks. She stepped out of the bathroom and smiled at me. I smiled back. That's when I knew the wedding was still happening. Just not for the reason she thought. Revenge isn't rage. It's precision dressed in cufflinks. Over the next 6 weeks, I played the part, attentive fiancé, dutiful son. I kissed her forehead when she wasn't looking me in the eyes. I laughed with my father over drinks. I let him toast to new beginnings while planning his end. Behind the scenes, I hired a private investigator. Every meeting, every whisper, every lie was documented. It hadn't been a one-night mistake. It had started 2 months prior, during a weekend I'd been away. She didn't even hesitate. My father paid for her yoga classes, her spa appointments. In one email, he called it stress management. I nearly vomited, but I smiled at dinner, clinked glasses, let them think they'd fooled me. I rewrote the prenup and slipped it into a stack of venue paperwork. She signed it blindly. The original one guaranteed her half. The revised one, nothing, less than nothing. A clause that held her financially liable for infidelity. Then I bought the wedding venue through a shell company. Every inch of that chapel and the reception hall belonged to me, including the tech system, the speakers, the screens, the lights. The day came like a fairy tale soaked in gasoline. She wore ivory silk. My father wore pride like cologne. I wore a pocket square stitched with a micro recorder, just in case. She looked radiant, nervous but glowing. She leaned in before the ceremony, whispered, "Ready to start forever?" "Almost," I whispered back. The ceremony unfolded like a lie that had memorized its lines. Smiles everywhere. Rows of loved ones watching, unaware. My mother sat in the front row, draped in pearls my father had given her last Christmas, while sleeping with my bride-to-be. Then the priest asked a question. She said, "I do," and I lit the match. When I revealed the truth, it wasn't just shock that hit the room. It was an avalanche. My mother looked like she'd swallowed glass. My father rose, ready to interrupt. I raised my hand and nodded the back of the chapel. The lights dimmed. Footage began to roll on the projection screen. A carefully edited montage. Text, hotel check-ins, GPS logs, digital receipts. And finally, the photo, him kissing her outside the penthouse. Time-stamped, undeniable. My mother stood, her face unreadable. She walked out without a word. My father tried to speak, but nothing came out. Just air, just ruin. "Sophie?" She turned to stone. Elegant, expensive stone, but stone nonetheless. I turned to the room. "I wanted you all to see this," I said, my voice steady, "because lies rot in darkness, and I've been breathing this poison long enough." Then I turned to her. "You don't love me. You love the lifestyle, the status, the access. You traded something real for something easy. You had choices. You chose him." She opened her mouth. I raised a hand. "No, you don't get to speak now." And then, to my father, "You were supposed to protect me, not compete with me." He didn't reply. He just stared, smaller than I'd ever seen him. I walked out of that chapel alone. No music, no cheers, just the sound of truth detonating behind me. The fallout came fast. My father's board learned of the scandal within hours. His reputation, once pristine, was tarnished beyond repair. Sleeping with your son's fiancée isn't great for public image. They forced his retirement. Quietly, yes, but I made sure the footage leaked. Strategic anonymity. Sophie tried to reach me. Calls, long texts full of apologies and misplaced blame. I blocked her. She filed a lawsuit for emotional distress. My lawyer sent over the revised prenup. She dropped the case within a week. Last I heard, she moved back in with her sister. No job, no ring, no leverage. People ask if I'm okay. I tell them the truth. I wasn't. But now, I'm not bitter. I'm not broken. I'm clean. Vengeance doesn't fix everything. But sometimes it cuts out the rot and leaves you breathing for the first time. I didn't get married that day, but I did bury something. The illusion that love always means loyalty. That blood demands trust. That silence equals strength. At that altar, under stained glass and shattered dreams, I said goodbye, not to her, but to the version of me that stayed quiet to keep the peace. And I've never looked back.